So good morning, everyone. It's already 8 o'clock. I believe we can start. Can you hear me clearly? Paki-type naman po sa ating chat box
Yes,
kung
ma'am.
naririnig po ako.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. So this will just be a very short discussion on the continuation of your module number 3. So let's start. So your module number 3 is all about your environmental chemistry. And as with your other modules, I always include the topic learning outcomes. So at the end of your module 3, you should be able then to explain the processes of chemistry in the environment. And the content of the module is as follows. Diba, last meeting before you had your activity, I provided you the module for your chemistry of water and then your chemistry of atmosphere. Now we go to your soil chemistry, which is the last topic for your environmental chemistry. So if you have any questions, class, as we always do, please feel free to type them in your chat box, okay? So soil chemistry. This will be the content of the module hanggang sa matapos lang natin, right? Or kung ano lang yung matapos natin given that we only have a limited amount of time when we are using the Zoom application. So we'll start with what is soil. So soil is considered as the top layer of the Earth's crust in which organic matter grows. So there are many components which can determine the soil, the type of soil, such as your pH, nutrient level, and organic content. Kumbaga yung soil chemistry kasi class, it will be just a basic introduction on your soil. When you go to your higher engineering courses, I believe one of your course will be soil mechanics. So parang doon po kayo kukuha kayo ng soil kung saan man, and then you are gonna test it in our soil mechanic laboratory. Meron po tayo sa school natin. So the soil, the pH, nutrient level, organic matter, actually these factors can vary, and depending on those factors, there are different plants that can grow in those particular soil. And also, syempre, yung geographic location. And of course, the best way for us to determine the quality of your soil is by conducting a soil test, which again, gagawin nyo when you go to your higher courses. So what is soil? So soil is considered as the top layer of the Earth's surface and is suitable for plant growth. Although it is often referred to as dirt or ground, there is a lot more to your soil than meets the eye. So let's go to your pH, one of the factors that actually affects your soil. So as you already know with your the chemistry of water, na-introduce na dun yung pH. And makikita nyo or na-introduce doon na yung pH nyo can range from 0 to 14, 0 being the most acidic, and then 14 being the most alkaline. So yung soil natin, iba-iba din yung kanyang pH. And depende po sa pH ng ating soil, that's the time that certain plants can grow doon sa soil natin. Kasi may mga plants naman tayo na medyo gusto nila yung acidic environment, and then meron din tayong plants na nagsa-thrive sa inyong alkaline environment. And depende din po sa pH ng soil tsaka doon sa plant na gusto natin itanim sa ating soil, pwede nating i-modify yung kanyang pH by adding certain chemicals. So, for example, your blueberries can grow at the pH of 5.5 or less. So, ang blueberries natin, medyo gusto niya sa medyo acidic na soil. While your potatoes, they grow with the soil pH range of 5.5 to 6.0. So medyo narrow po yung range na gusto ng potatoes. And most of your shrubs or your garden vegetables, nagtathrive naman sila sa pH which is around 6 to 6.5. And generally, ang range na pH na gusto natin for our soil for growing your crops or your plants is between 5.5 to 7.5. Why? Kasi there are two favorable reasons for that. One is it allows sufficient microorganisms to break down organic matter. So ibig sabihin, pag nilagyan natin ng fertilizer yung ating soil, mas na-absorb siya ng ating plants when we are at this particular pH range. And also, it's best for nutrient availability. The nutrients na kailangan ng soil, itatakal natin siya or makikita natin siya later on. So let's go to your liming. Siguro for us na yung mga nakatira sa Cordilleras or yung for others who are kumbaga medyo exposed sa farming, maaaring narinig nyo na to sa inyong mga parents or sa mga kamag-anak nyo na nagsasaka, liming. And what is it for, right? So it says here, sorry, let's go back. The pH of soil can be increased by liming. This is why people sometimes spread white powder on their lawns or garden. And this white powder is often referred to as your lime. So kung nakikita nyo siya, di ba para lang siyang alikabok na puti? And usually this lime, as we call it, is composed of your calcium carbonate, your calcitic limestone, CaCO3, which actually provides a good source of your calcium to neutralize the acidity of the soil. Or sometimes, it's also referred to as your dolomitic limestone pag meron siyang magnesium content. So the best limestone will have the greatest calcium and magnesium content and will be ground into very tiny particles. The smaller particles allow the limestone to correct soil acidity more rapidly. Bakit po? Bakit siya, kumbaga, pinapowderize? Kasi diba, with the previous topics that we have, pag maliit yung particle natin class, ibig sabihin, yung kanyang surface area is malaki. And pag malaki yung surface area, there is more interaction with the surrounding. So, mas mabilis po yung chemical reaction na nangyari. So, mas mabilis po siyang na-absorb ng ating soil to correct the acidity sa kung ano mang range yung gusto po natin. And it might look complicated, but the chemistry of liming is actually very simple. Your hydrogen ions are attracted to soil, and the organic material, which have a negative charge, syempre the positive attracts your negative. Therefore, pag nagsama sila, magiging neutral. So when lime is applied, these hydrogen ions are exchanged for your calcium and your magnesium ions, which have a positive charge. So this one helps to neutralize the acidity of your soil. So kumbaga ito yung soil natin, very acidic siya, so marami siyang negative particles or negative ions. And then, diba yung hydrogen ions nyo ma-attract siya sa, since it is positive, it will be attracted. It will attract the negatively charged particle, and we will add CaCO3, mas makakatulong siya kasi you have a 2+ charge, so mas marami siyang ma-attract na negative ions. And pag nangyari na po yung chemical reaction, it will diba, mag-give off siya ng carbon dioxide gas and water in the process. Pero aside from the fact na most of the soils is acidic, may instances din po na ang soil natin is very basic. And what do we do pag very basic yung soil natin at gusto natin na medyo mapunta siya sa acidic side? Kabaliktaran lang din, you will put negatively charged particles. And in this case, what is usually being used is your sulfur-containing compounds or your sulfur, ammonium sulfate, ganyan. So yan naman po para bumaba yung pH kung yun po yung gusto natin para sa ating soil. So after your soil, let's go to your nutrients, right? So nutrients, of course, your nutrients is very important for your soil. So each year kasi, different cycles ang ina-underwent ng ating soil. Siyempre kasi umaaraw, umuulan, so sometimes there's drought, sometimes naman there's too much rain. And dahil sa mga processes na nangyayaring yun, certain materials are added into your soil, but also certain materials are taken away. So organic matters and nutrients in various forms are constantly being added to our soil. So when we say nutrients, these nutrients are minerals that are required by your plants to survive. Of course, syempre, very important ang nutrients kasi doon po kukunin ng mga plants natin yung kailangan nila for them to thrive and grow. And may mga nutrients tayo that we need in a big amount, but that's what we call your macronutrients. But also we have nutrients that we need in small amounts lang, or your micronutrients. Let's determine let's get to see kung ano ba yung mga nutrients na kailangan in big amounts and what are the nutrients that is needed in just small quantity. So this is a summary of the nutrients that is required. So you have your mineral nutrients and you have your non-mineral nutrients. So for your mineral, you have, of course, very basic lang, your carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, or your CHO. And for macronutrients, you have 6 broken down into your primary macronutrients and your secondary macronutrients. And you also have your micronutrients. Again, yung micronutrients needed in small amount lang, and your macronutrients needed in big amounts. So let's go first to your macronutrients. So when we say the macronutrients, it's the most important of the nutrients. Since, yun nga, diba, sinabi ko na kanina, it's needed in big chunks or big amounts. So, punta muna tayo dun sa mineral na macronutrients, yung carbon, hydrogen, tsaka yung oxygen. So, makikita niyo naman dito, hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. So, plants and animals are primarily made up of your carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And of course, as you already know, through the process of photosynthesis, your plants, they obtain carbon from carbon dioxide, which we mammals breathe out, and hydrogen in the form of water. They take that, and also oxygen, diba? Kasi H2O tapos CO2. And with the help of your sunlight or your light energy, these particular chemicals, or rather elements, combine to form your carbohydrates. This happens in the leaves of the plants, and you have here the very simple chemical reaction. You have 6 moles of your carbon dioxide plus 6 moles of your water, plus of course the light energy coming from the sun to produce your carbohydrates. So this is the chemical formula for your carbohydrates, very basic, C6H12O6, plus of course in the process oxygen is given off, which of course we mammals need in order for us to survive. So let's go to your macronutrients, yung non-mineral part naman, and your primary. Di ba merong dalawa kanina, the primary and the secondary. So nitrogen, let's start with your nitrogen. So how does your plants take up your nitrogen? So your nitrogen is taken up as either your ammonium ion or your nitrate ion. So ganyan siya. NO3 negative or yung NH4 plus. So your most organic compounds in your plants contain nitrogen, including amino acid, nucleic acids, enzymes, and energy transfer materials such as your chlorophyll, ADP, and ATP. We will not dig deep into this since this is already taken up, I believe, in your high school biology, by your very basic biomolecules. And of course, nitrogen is necessary for the production of your sugar, which helps in sweetening the fruit. And it is also needed by your plants to form new cells. Another important primary macronutrient is your phosphorus. So your phosphorus naman, what it does is it stimulates early growth and root formation. And also it promotes seed production and size. Usually yung phosphorus natin is found in your legumes or yung mga beans natin. And the main thing that you should understand when it comes to phosphorus is that it should be in balance with your nitrogen. Kasi pag masyadong marami yung nitrogen sa plants natin, class, kumbaga yung availability, nagkakaroon tayo ng phosphorus deficiency. Why is that? Kasi kumbaga nagko-compete sila eh. Si nitrogen at si phosphorus, they're actually in competition with each other. And since mas mabilis mag-process or ma-uptake ng mga plants si nitrogen, pag masyadong maraming nitrogen, kumbaga nagkakaroon ng phosphorus deficiency. Yun naman yung kumbaga downside nilang dalawa. They actually compete sa ating plants. Sandali lang, class. Tingnan natin kung may time pa tayo. Okay. Tapusin lang natin itong macronutrients and I will be providing you with with the copy of this slide. So, yung mga hindi natin matatapos, you just do a self-study on it. Okay? So, next slide. Potassium. So, potassium K. It regulates the rate of your photosynthesis. And also, it's responsible for opening and closing of your stomata in the leaves to allow carbon dioxide and oxygen out and to regulate your water loss. Starch formation by activating the enzyme responsible for this process. Potassium po yung responsible sa mga processes na yan. So, yun muna yung tatlo na primary. For the secondary naman, I believe you could already, for the other secondary, tapos yung mga micronutrients, ipro-provide ko na lang po yung slide for you to do a self-study of that. Okay? Sandali lang. So, ilan kayo dito? Kasi hindi kumbaga, this is recorded, however, kasi hindi kakayanin ng ating Zoom or rather ng ating Canvas yung recording na to. So, I might post it na lang sa YouTube. Tapos, for those of you who weren't able then to attend, you could just go ahead and watch the recording in YouTube once it's already available. I-ano ko naman siya. I-post ko naman siya doon. And plus, I'll provide you the copy of the slides. Anyway, it's actually self-explanatory naman. Just, you have to understand. You just have to understand. Okay? So, I'll end muna there. Do you have any question or clarification about doon sa diniscuss natin? Konti na lang naman yung siguro around saan tayong slide nag-end? 39. So, around 15 slides yung kailangan nyo na lang naman i-self-study. So, may tanong po. Kung may tanong kayo, class, please feel free to type them in the chat box, ha? And plus class, while you're trying then to formulate your question or kung meron man, I just want you to know na, di ba, nakatanya na ba yung announcement sa SAYA bulletin natin? I believe we will be on full blast face-to-face already next term. So lahat po ng mga subjects or courses na enroll nyo, naka-limited face-to-face na po siya. So, I'm not sure how we will still be having a meeting on how we are gonna conduct it. But so far sa mga limited face-to-face kasi natin ngayon class, what's being done is that kumbaga, every other week yung meeting. So kumbaga kung nag-meet tayo this week, next week online. Parang ganon yung magiging setup. So mag-prepare na kayo class kasi we all thought kasi na parang laboratory classes lang yung face-to-face nila. But I believe since lumabas kasi yung CHED memo na we could already operate, since may safety seal ang ating university from the city government, we can already operate at 100% capacity. But of course, since we are then trying then to adjust, kaya siguro dapat kaya siguro ganun yung gagawin nila, i-blend nila yung face-to-face and then yung online learning natin. Okay, so please make sure that you have already filled out the vaccination survey of our school. Diba? May pinost naman sa bulletin. Lagi naman nag-update dun ng ating dean. So please make sure that you read them. And of course, you get ready for those of you na mga hindi taga-Baguio. Okay? Or not within kumbaga accessible areas. Kung medyo malayo-layo kayo, I think it's already but time to plan na makaakyat dito sa Baguio para sa inyong classes next term. Kasi ang next term natin is already May 5. So yun ang start ng classes. Right? And I believe last week ng April is the enrollment. May mga tanong class? Wala? Klaro naman ba lahat? Okay na, o inaantok pa kayong lahat. Kasi ang aga. Masanay na kayo kasi next term, di ba, maaga din naman na kayong gigising. Kasi wala na. Kailangan nyo na pumunta ng school. So, mag-practice na kayong gumising ng maaga. Magba-back to normal na ulit tayo after 2 years of dealing with this pandemic. Which is okay lang din naman. Di ba? Masaya din naman yung mag-face-to-face. Lalo kayo yata, hindi nyo pa na-experience sa college. Diba? Kumbaga ito yata yung first time experience nyo mag-face-to-face ng college. So wala nang tanong? Okay na?
None po.
Okay. So if there's no more question, class, thank you for participating in this limited Zoom meeting. And you could use the rest of the time to work on your activity number 4, right? I believe June nun bukas, okay? So if there's no more, please stay home, stay healthy, and stay safe. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, ma'am.